Oh, hey, how's it going, everybody? It's Michael Boy. I'm here with Read, Remember, Repeat, and we just want to let you guys know, we could be doing something selfish, things for ourselves, right? But we started a charity, and this is very unselfish on our part because what we want to do is give back to the kids, the youth, the orphanage, the homeless, the people that don't have those new ideas because they're stuck in a revolving door. So what we want you guys to do is definitely reach out to us. This is the link right here. Help us save a life. Click the link in bio. Read, remember, repeat. An amazing night, my Read, Remember, Repeat family. The day was definitely phenomenal, man. I went through a situation where I had to keep the faith, right? I had to keep the faith because I felt like, I don't know, man. I just felt like the devil was working, right? I just felt like the devil was working. And we use that term wisely, right? So I just felt like negativity was just going crazy. And I had to just stay positive, man, because that was the only way to push that negativity more out the way. You know what I mean? I had to raise my positivity. But with that being said, man, we back. Long day, but we still gonna get this working. Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. Such an amazing book. I highly recommend. We are on chapter 9, page 178. Let's get it. We went through what the ways to teach and fix the education system. So now we're gonna tap into the rest of the Q&A. Get with it. Let's go. Question. That is an opposing list, but it seems conspicuous by the fact it ignores practically every subject now taught in the public schools. Was that intended? Answer. Yes. You asked for a list of suggested changes in public school curricula, which would benefit children. Well, that is what you got. Question. Some of the changes you suggest are so unorthodox, they would shock most of the education of today. Wouldn't they? Most of the educators of today need to be shocked. A good sound shock often helps the brain that has been atrophied by habit. Question. Would the changes you suggest for the public schools give children immunity against the habit of drifting? Answer. Yes. That is one of the results the changes would bring. But there are others too. Step away from the Q&A. I can't say that I agree with each thing on the devil's list. However, when I stopped to analyze his list of recommendations, this question came to my mind. Isn't that what our schools should be teaching our children? The devil knew this, and we didn't. I wish Hill had thought to ask why our schools are what they are, and why they are, or what and where they aren't. The great scholars who designed our systems of schooling must have realized the importance of at least some of what the devil professed our schools should be teaching. Why aren't these things part of the system? How could the original architects of what is today our compulsory education system have been so far off target? The devil did make the claim that the school system is one of his primary vehicles for creating and sustaining his large army of drifters. Could it be? Question. How could the suggested changes be forced into the public school system? You know, of course, it is difficult to get a new idea into an educator's brain as it is to interest a religious leader in modifying religion. So it will help people to get more from life. Step away from the Q&A. Any of you who have tried to work to make changes in the public school system are probably nodding right now. Now the answer. The quickest and surest way to force practical ideas into the public schools is to first introduce the ideas through private schools and establish such a demand for their use that public schools officials will be compelled to employ them. Question. Should any of changes be made in the public school system? This is the night show for real, man. I'm like beat today, but let's go. Should any other changes be made in the public school system? Yes. Many. Among other changes needed in all public school programs is the addition of a complete course of training in the psychology of harmonious negotiation between people. All children should be taught how to sell their way through life with the minimum amount of friction. Every public school should teach the principles of individual achievement through which one may attain a position of financial independence. Classes should be abolished altogether. They should be replaced by the round table or conference system such as businessmen employ. All students should receive individual instruction and guidance in connection with subjects which cannot be properly taught in groups. Every school should have an auxiliary group of instructors consisting of business and professional people, scientists, artists, engineers, and newspapermen, each of whom would impart to all the students a practical working knowledge of his own profession, business, or occupation. This instruction should be conducted through the conference system to save the time of the instructors. Question: what you have suggested is, in effect, an auxiliary system of instruction that would give all school children a working knowledge of the practical affairs of life, direct from the original source. Is that the idea? Answer: you stated it correctly. Now, I want to step away from this Q&A, but y'all know source time. After we give y'all the sauce, you know what I mean, give y'all the Kool-Aid, then we'll be right back. So let's go.
The reason we created Rock Nation was to be able to say, okay, this is all the information we gathered. Here it is, Rihanna. Here it is, Kanye. You know, whomever, right? So if we achieve those goals at 36, you do it at 26. If we created a $1 billion company, you create a $7 billion
We're giving you
company.
the infrastructure that we know works, but we're embedding it to you at a young age so that it works earlier for you and that you can succeed and surpass what we've done.
Yeah, because they're building off, you know, had you had someone at 26 or earlier to say, you know, here's Kev Hart Productions, thing, here's how you do it. You don't need the back end. You want to create the content. You want to own the content. You want to take it here, et cetera, et cetera. If you had someone just to give you that roadmap has been given to people since the beginning of time. We just was never...
we always got through the first door, and we were so excited about being in that room that we never looked at the next door, right?
It's the reason we created Rock Nation.
Yes, gang, and we are back. I hope everybody enjoyed that nice little piece, that nice little segment of knowledge. Man, this show, period, man, it'll help you grow brain cells. But we're going to tap back into the Q&A right now. We're on page 180. We're going to step away from the Q&A, matter of fact, and we're going to read this next segment. This is another subject that strikes close to home. My husband recalls that during the early 1970s in New Jersey, one of the organizations that he was involved in was assembled group of scientists and businessmen to teach basic courses, for example, mathematics and physics in their fields as volunteers in the public schools, only to be told that since the scientists and businessmen were not professional teachers, they were not welcome. Just to let y'all know, this book was published by Sharon Letcher, which is, I'm guessing, Napoleon Hill's wife, or a noted by Sharon Letcher. So that's why she says my husband recalls that during the early 1970s in New Jersey, one of the organizations that he was involved with assembled a group of scientists and businessmen to teach basic courses, for example, mathematics and physics in their fields as volunteers in the public schools, only to be told that since the scientists and businessmen were not professional teachers, they were not welcome. More recently, the mission of bringing practical teaching into the schools has been popularized by several groups. Teach for America, America Saves, Junior Achievement, but it is still often viewed as enhancement material and not part of the core curriculum. This and many other shifts in how content, context, principles, and skills are delivered to our children in our computery system of education need to be included as part of and interactive experiential process that will determine how our children live their lives and what impact they will have on this complex world in which we live. The challenge is this: how do we package it all into a deliverable program that can be and systematically implemented so it is success orientated, rewarding, and fulfilling for all participants, children and adults alike? I am pleased and proud to say that I work with groups that have designed such programs, and they're taking these programs forward with definiteness of purpose. Their vision of the future, like ours, is to have an educational system that evolves into a powerful force capable of producing self-motivated, independent thinking, self-reliant, contributing members of society, and capable also of producing something more important: future generations ready and able to work in a complex world, to live successfully, to take pleasure in empowering themselves and others, and to make a real and lasting difference in the world as informed, responsible, involved global citizens, each with definiteness of purpose. Question. Back to the Q&A. Question. Let us dismiss the public school system and go back to the churches for a moment. All my life I have heard clergymen preaching against sin and warning sinners to beware and repent so they could be saved. But I have never heard any of them tell me what sin is. Will you give me some light on this subject? Answer. Sin is anything one does or thinks which causes one to be unhappy. Human beings who are in sound physical and spiritual health should be at peace with themselves and always happy. Any form of mental or physical misery indicates the presence of sin. Question. Name some of the common forms of sin. Answer. It is a sin to overtreat because that leads to ill health and misery. Overeat. It is a sin to overeat because that leads to ill health and misery. It is a sin to overindulge in sex because that breaks down one's will, power, and leads to the habit of drifting. It is a sin to permit one's mind to be dominated by negative thoughts of envy, greed, fear, hatred, intolerance, vanity, self-pity, or discouragement, because these states of mind lead to the habit of drifting. It is a sin to cheat, lie, and steal, because these habits destroy self-respect, subdue one's conscience, and lead to unhappiness. It is a sin to remain in ignorance because that leads to poverty and loss of self-reliance. It is a sin to accept from life anything one does not want because that indicates an unpardonable neglect to use the mind. Question. Is it a sin for one to drift through life without definite aim, plan, or purpose? Answer. Yes, because this habit leads to poverty and destroys the privilege of self-determination. It also deprives one of the privilege of using his own mind as a medium or contact with infinite intelligence. Question. Are you the chief inspirer of sin? Answer. Yes. It is my business to gain control of the minds of people in every way possible. Gang, read, remember, repeat. Read, remember, repeat. Read, remember, repeat. Your boy is tired. And I hope everybody had a wonderful day. Tomorrow's a new one. Bless up. 100.